All right, now welcome to my top least I didn't like it from E3. I really beg you go check out my top most hype moments from E3 video, just because I enjoy talking about that stuff a bit more. But you know, everyone wants to look, what did you hate? And, you know, like if you've seen my E3 coverage already, you'll probably you'll know what I disliked. But here's a more succinct roundup. Again, not in any particular order, so let's get this underway. Funkos! No, not just Funkos, but Funkos Gears. So when this was announced last E3, I was like, oh yeah, give it to me. That's so stupid. What I wanted was just Gears with tons of violence and explosions. It was just Funkos. Like I wanted Gears kids, like Virtua Fighter kids. That's what I pictured in my head, because why would it be any different? Well, it is different. It's just some mobile game RTS, you move things on your phone, and that's it. I was so disappointed. That's not stupid at all. It makes perfect sense, which, if you know anything, but I don't like that. I want it dumb. Give me dumb and more. I wanted Funko's heads exploding. I wanted the skin, like, ripped off with a Lancer, like, anything. Like, I just wanted a shitty short Gears that, like, it doesn't take itself too seriously, but that's not what we're getting. Marketing people thought better than me and decided, let's actually do this thing. And I'm like, okay. No Sony. I think it was not great for Sony to be here. It was it really did feel like something was missing. And, you know, I know what they've said before. It's like, we just are not interested in E3. We're going to do our ripoffs of Nintendo Directs, I guess. But the fact they'd even do that this year was just kind of a letdown. Like, they still have games that are coming out on the PS4. They could still talk a little bit more about the PS5. I'm not saying you have to have tons and tons of announcements, but you know, do what Nintendo did with Smash if you need to. Your presence just is sorely missed, where, you know, spend more time talking about Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, I believe that's how you pronounce that, and like Death Stranding. You can do that. It's totally fine. Like, are you so scared you might be considered the loser of E3? Well, don't worry, Bethesda's here. They'll always take that L on their chest. So Sony, I was disappointed they weren't there. Like, I would have preferred them to just show 2 or 3 games and that's it. There's lots of other third-party things. Sony, you could use that time to highlight some of the lesser-known titles that are coming to your console. It just seems kind of like a waste. I'm sure they're going to do another State of Direct or whatever soon, but during the E3 week, I think they should have been here. Let's get it out of the way. Commander Keen, or whatever this is. So Commander Keen, I grew up playing this on my PC. It is like something that id had like toyed with bringing back multiple times, and they just never did. I really hope that the little Commander Keen Easter egg in Doom 2016 meant something. If it meant this, then fuck you, Doom 2016. It is rough. It's dog rough looking at this thing. I went from like, okay, this is a cool Saturday morning aesthetic. It's not Commander Keen because you're like play as the kids of Commander Keen, fine, whatever. Time has moved on, and to see again, it's just some mobile dreck that is just not what I want. Am I glad that they're still using the IP? Yeah. I would rather not have nothing. I'm happy that they're still using the IP. This is just something I'm never ever gonna play. Commander Keen was a platformer. There's no reason you can't make a little mobile platformer with like some type of little phone gimmick like moving, but the fact that it just seems like every other mobile game ever released, and being on a phone, the art style is made worse by that. It's brought down to the phone's level, unfortunately. It's just one of the most disappointing things in video games I've seen in a while. Bethesda, and not just Bethesda, but I have to say a hearty fuck you to having those little bumpers where it shows, I guess, real people about how much Bethesda games means to them. Hey, I'm not gonna lie, I'm sure there's some people that don't know all the shit Bethesda does behind the scenes and all the broken products they feel, you know, ready to ship. Do they have some good games that are not broken and are quality? Sure, but as a studio itself, Bethesda Game Studios or ZeniMax or whoever you want to blame, the company, you need to earn this shit. You need to earn this shit through years of quality products that don't prey on like people's gullibility and naivety, you know, naivete. They have not earned that. And having bumpers of people tearfully looking at the screen saying like, you don't get to do that, Bethesda. Not yet. Not for years at least. I mean, it's taken a lot of companies much better than you a lot longer to sire a better image for themselves. And Bethesda, you are not the company to do it. It was really tacky. It felt really forced and bolted onto their conference. And it just made me feel gross just watching it. You don't get to do that. Not yet. All right, Ubisoft's conference. Cool zombie or horror game is just Tom Clancy game. We have not seen a lot of this, but what's it called? Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Quarantine. I'm glad a new studio or like a new team within Ubisoft Montreal is getting to do a thing. It's so not for me that it's another Tom Clancy game. We get it. They're successful. Have confidence in your product. Make it a brand new IP. Like, you know, even make it a fucking Zombie U sequel. Something other than Tom Clancy. Just because it has a Tom Clancy name doesn't mean it will sell. That's what Ubisoft thinks, but apparently that's how they're thinking forever now. And like, it was just crushing to see, what is this? This looks kind of interesting. This doesn't seem like a Tom Clancy. It's a Tom Clancy game. Like, if you like Tom Clancy games and you can't get enough of the 6 or 7 that get released a year and all their DLC, I'm happy for you. You get another Tom Clancy game. But for me personally, I was really hoping this would be something a bit more interesting. I'm just judging by the FMV because that's all they showed. But I'm just going on my like base instincts, and I'm like, this will probably be something I'm not particularly interested in. Again, not that Tom Clancy games can't be interesting. I really like that Predator DLC that people inform me you can actually still play. I did not know that, so that's cool. I hope when they show more of this game, it might be something a bit more unique, have some type of interesting hook. But right now, I just went from and that's not a great feeling. Musical performances. This mostly, again, goes to Ubisoft. All the iconic Assassin's Creed music. Don't get me wrong, Assassin's Creed has good music, and I liked what Sony did last year with musical performances, or the year before, whatever, because they felt appropriate. They didn't go on too long, but in this age of everyone kind of moving to directs, it feels really passé to do what Ubisoft did, which is a really long, you know, nice but long musical performance of Assassin's Creed music. There's only 1 or 2 themes I recognize because there's so many Assassin's Creed games with so much music. And then their Just Dance thing. I get it. Just Dance is still wildly successful, but no one at home is interested. It's probably better as a live show, but no one at home is interested in, and it just brought down their conference that much more. I really think if you're going to do these types of things, you have to think of more unique ways that have some sort of, I don't know, something, but just throwing them out on stage and just hoping people will get excited. No one's getting that excited. You know, in this day and age, people just want the trailers, show us the game, show us gameplay. I mean, that's what the hardcores want. And like, when you still are doing this type of stuff, it's fine when everyone was doing it because it was something you had to put up with. But when only one company is doing it, or 1 or 2, it just kind of stands out as you should stop doing this. Sorry. All right. It's not so much negative, more like, why'd you even bother? It was just the most fluff, nothing thing, which of course was the Project Scarlet announcement. If your console is not at the state where you can A, give it a name, and B, show what it physically looks like, then your console announcement doesn't really matter. I didn't mind what Sony did, which is just have a little video, a little article that went out like, you know, a month or 2 ago, like, hey, yeah, we're thinking of this. This is what we're doing. And Microsoft just felt they needed to fire back by showing absolutely nothing, showing a bunch of talking heads. This thing's pretty sick. Can't show it to you because it's too early, and you might as well not had that in the press conference. It wouldn't have made a lick of difference. You could have just had a press release. You could have, like, a month after E3 shown it. A month before E3, you could have just shown that thing. It would have been fine. It just took up time in Microsoft's conference. It was already a little too long. So I was just like, wow, I can't, there's nothing here for us to grab. It's going to load fast. The graphics are gooder and betterer. I'm like, okay, you know, it just means nothing. It's just white noise. And I was just like kind of bummed out. I guess the fact that my Xbox One X is like a piece of shit. It's the slowest console I have. The playback of all videos are just slowing down. It's playing at like half speed and it's all fucked up. Just doesn't give me a lot of confidence in Microsoft's hardware in the future. So that also left the sour taste in my mouth. That's very specific to me, but whatever. Project Scarlet, show it when it's ready. Don't show it when it's not, because there's nothing there yet. Over-reliance on FMV. Almost everyone's guilty of this. Maybe not Nintendo, but almost every conference, I want to say it's like 50% of everything shown was just fucking FMVs. I mean, I was really glad to see Ubisoft's Watch Dogs Legion, which again, I don't care about too much, so I'm not even really mentioning it, but it was nice to see gameplay. But Deathloop, Ghostwire, fuck, I can't even remember all of it. Just, there was so much FMV in everything, and I was just so tired of looking at it. I'm like, you know, you can have a little FMV trailer. It's fine. You can have like a 30-second minute thing, but then show at least a few clips of gameplay, something. If the game isn't ready yet, then maybe not have it at the show. That's all I'm saying. Like, if you're saying it's next year, there's gameplay to have. I don't really get the marketing decision, but let's not show gameplay. Why not show gameplay? It's going to be out in like 12 months. Like, there's something to show. And, you know, E3s back in the day used to do this an awful lot, but it would still razzle-dazzle people, but not in the last like 3 or 4 years. Like, people are tired of seeing FMV. I know I am, because, you know, none of this is usually part of the game anymore. They're just FMV renders so that they're shown at E3. Like, that's why they even exist. A lot of these things aren't even really impressive that like any longer. Like, sometimes there'll be 1 or 2 shots where you're like, that's cool. Is that going to be in the game? I don't know, because we've all been burned so many times on AAA games. Like, oh, we're going to have this and this target renders and all this shit, and then the game doesn't have it. So why even bother showing FMVs at this point? You know, like, I'm sure this is an old man talk, but I also think a lot of, you know, younger and like older fans as well also feel like similarly. Like, you got to show me something else. And if you don't have anything to show, then maybe not mention the game, because FMV trailers barely get me excited anymore. It's like, just, you know, if a game is coming out this year and there's still FMVs, like, that's fucked. That's fucked. And there were like 1 or 2 games maybe that still did that, where I'm like, that's coming out this year. Come on, you can't show it anyway. So yeah, please stop doing this. Anybody from marketing that's listening, I doubt it. But FMVs, sure, you spent money on it. Show just a little bit of gameplay. That's all I'm asking. All right, so this is the joke thing. FF8 Remastered. Boo! I'm sorry. I think it's hilarious that FF8 went so long by not getting a remaster. I am legit happy for FF8 fans, which I am kind of there. I like the FF8 world and the characters, but I like that there was this running joke of it just not getting remastered. I wish it would last for a couple more years, maybe 5 or 6 years of no remaster, just to maximize on the joke. But, you know, it's coming out, whatever. But I'd still, just for the hilarity of it, it would have been funny. Hey, I'm in the same boat. There's never going to be a Prince of Persia remaster or anything like that. So I'm there with you. Or I was, but I still am. You're all out. You're all out of the holding this port hostage, FF8 fans, so you should be happy. I just want to say, it doesn't matter if it was FF8, it could have been any title. I like pointing at some like thing. I'm like, why isn't this getting remastered? It's actually getting hilarious. Like the first 2 times where they kind of skipped over it and they're like, nope, we have nothing to announce of FF8. It's like, oh, that's sad. When it got to like the 5th or 6th like times where, hey, this new FF8 game is coming out on the Switch or like on PC or Steam, and just no mention of it, I was like, this is fucking silly now. And I actually thought it was funny, but I am very happy for FF8 fans finally getting their FF8. I'll play through it a little bit just to play Triple Triad. And while there were lots of games that should have been shown that weren't, Beyond Good and Evil 2, it was shown at 2 prior E3s. No Metroid projects. There's even more stuff. I really wish they had shown at least a new trailer from Bayonetta 3. I don't know why I was like stumbling with that. Bayonetta 3. Astral Chain should be Platinum's focus for this year. It really should. So I'm glad that got the lion's share, but I do wish if they had just shown Bayonetta 3, I will just take FMV for that, but something. I would have been happy with an FMV. That would have pushed Nintendo's conference at least over the top in terms of like, oh shit, well now everything was there except for like, you know, F-Zero and a new Metroid or Metroid Prime 4. I didn't expect Metroid Prime 4, obviously, because like it just switched development, so there might not actually be much to show. But Bayonetta 3 was sorely missed for me. They announced that probably way too early, which is very not typical of Nintendo. And they did say that all their titles that they're going to focus on this E3 were all 2019 titles, except they weren't. Animal Crossing wasn't, and like 1 or 2 other things maybe. But for this year, it's like, yeah, no Bayonetta 3. And I'm like, fine. The next year, you go, well, now's the year. And then they might not show it again. And you're just kind of like, just show me something. So Bayonetta 3, it really did feel like it could have been there, but they held it back. But hey, there's a new Zelda, which again was more or less like a cutscene FMV, but we didn't even know that existed. And you know, it's a sequel to Breath of the Wild, so we know it'll be good. You don't really have to sell us on that, Nintendo. So I guess that was it overall. Again, I had spoken about how like me and Liam had a talk where he reminded me, he's like, yeah, this is a weird E3 because 2020 is going to be the last full year of probably games on the PS4 and the Xbox One, like just for them. The Switch is a different matter, but like this feels like one of those years where you're like, yeah, you're not going to get that hype of announcements. They're keeping a lot of stuff behind the scenes because it's just not ready yet. And when I really thought of that and talked to him about it, I was like, yeah, you know, I should have been putting like a lot of hope and hype on this E3. I guess it slipped away from me, but I will say overall it was still kind of a lower sort of status E3. Again, Sony not being there when we know they've got big games for the PS4 coming. Again, was a bit of a letdown. But fortunately, Nintendo's press conference really like helped me kind of go, okay, well, you know, that at least, you know, ended on a high note. There's still stuff that they're going to show. We're finally going to maybe get a press release stating us about what the fuck happened to Metal Wolf. I really wish this could have been an E3 where I'm just exploiting all over and seeing all this cool shit. But like, there was a lot of stuff that I just went like, oh, okay. But I hope that any of you watching this really liked your E3. That's my, you know, hope for everybody, because it is a fun time in the video game industry, but getting the feeling it's a time that's not going to last for that much longer. If companies still keep dropping out, I think it might, you know, go away in the next 5 years or something. Everyone's just going to be doing directs, which is fine because you're going to get it spread out throughout the year and you'll get more information that way, and it won't be all bogged down by other announcements overshadowing it. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just different. So hope you enjoyed your E3, like I said, and I'll see you next year.